Late Sunday night, Senator Ted Cruz became the first major name to officially declare a 2016 run for the White House. It's a time of truth. The first-term Texas senator posted a
Hear ye, hear ye. This episode is coming into order. On the docket will be the prosecution of Ted Cruz for his otherwise erroneous positions. This is my first video. Thank you for watching, if you are. If you're not, I wish you were. I don't have a name for this series yet. I would love to get your ideas or opinions, but right now what I'm going to call this episode is Gopwatch 2015. Ted Cruz is running for president. I was listening to some of his opening remarks concerning his campaign, and I couldn't help but think that most of them had a certain undertone of just complete BS.
And imagine a legal immigration system that welcomes and celebrates those who come to achieve the American dream.
Welcomes and celebrates them. Let's start right there, Ted Cruz, because his immigration record as a representative from Texas is, considerably checkered. It's not to say that the United States isn't putting money towards trying to amass border protection efforts, though. The proportion that the U.S. Customs and Border Protection budgets have increased is 80%. So their budget has gone up 80% since 2005, amounting to $17.1 billion. So we're spending every year $17.1 billion between ICE and U.S. Customs and Border Protection. The thing is Cruz said that he would be against any sort of amnesty bill, which would otherwise bring people out of the shadows and get them registered potentially as U.S. citizens. According to factcheck.org, Cruz voted against Senate immigration bill. There was SB 744 for all you political junkies out there. This would have basically allowed for a pathway to citizenship for immigrants living in the U.S. illegally since at least December 31st, 2011. Illegal aliens would had to have paid fines, back taxes, proved gainful employment, completed background checks, learned English and civics, and gone to the back of the line of prospective immigrants. So they basically would have had to pay a fine and then go to the back of the line, which doesn't sound all that bad, but Cruz said he was against that. So what are the alternatives? Well, according to the Center for American Progress, they reported in 2012 that having an overhaul of the United States immigration policy resulting in the deportation of all potentially 21 million illegal aliens that we have in this country would cost about $285 billion over 5 years. Now, spending $285 billion over 5 years when we would be spending already $100 billion over that same 5 years potentially, seems a bit excessive.
Instead of a federal government that wages an assault on our religious liberty, that goes after Hobby Lobby, that goes after the Little Sisters of the Poor, that goes after Liberty University.
All right, let me stop you there, okay? Because first off, the federal government, he makes it sound like the federal government's a boogeyman. Basically that they, were targeting these nonprofits and corporations as, in some sort of predatory way. And that's just absolutely ridiculous. Now, in the case of Hobby Lobby against the United States government, oh, and by the way, I should say too, Cruz is talking about Obamacare when he's making that statement. And Hobby Lobby, they weren't really a big fan of Obamacare, and the Supreme Court ruling that resulted from the federal government suing Hobby Lobby said that corporations have religious beliefs, which probably isn't really that bad of a position considering what could have happened otherwise. I mean, I don't agree with his position, but shouldn't he be kind of happy about it? They got to stick it to Obamacare a little bit.
Corporations are people, my friend.
But what's truly funny is Cruz's claim that the feds went after Liberty University when it was really the university suing the government and challenging a portion of the healthcare law that required most employers to provide health insurance to their workers or pay a fine, which the Supreme Court had ruled that Obamacare was a tax, so it was completely constitutional. And the court, though, never actually heard the case. So it's absurd for Cruz to claim that the feds, though, were going after Liberty University in the first place.
Imagine a federal government that stands for the First Amendment rights of every American.
That's not vitriol. I don't know what is. Let's see what the back of Ted Cruz's head has next for us.
Instead of a federal government that works to undermine our values, imagine a federal government that works to defend the sanctity of human life. And to uphold the sacrament of marriage.
I mean, where do you start with this guy? I'm not for abortion. I just want to make that abundantly clear. I don't think anybody is for abortion. Can we just put this issue to rest? It's purely a wedge issue, and if you buy into that... But the whole gay marriage thing, or same-sex marriage, pardon me, it's an interesting concept because Cruz actually received praise from Massachusetts Democrat Barney Frank once because he said he wanted to leave the choice up to the states. But now all of a sudden he's running for president and he wants to have a federal edict that otherwise bans same-sex marriage. Back to the back of Cruz's head.
Instead of a government that seizes your emails and your cell phones, imagine a federal government that protected the privacy rights of every American.
This video is getting long, so I'll just keep this last point quick. Cruz is a total hypocrite on this issue. Here's the deal. The USA Freedom Act was a piece of legislation that he co-sponsored in 2013, and it never actually passed, but it would have gotten rid of the ability of the United States to warrantlessly wiretap your phone and collect all of your data in that big storage center they have out in Utah. The biggest point of hypocrisy is behind Cruz saying that he's for a federal government that respects privacy rights is that he was, in that USA Freedom Act, going to extend 7 provisions of the United States Patriot Act that otherwise allowed for the bulk, warrantless wiretapping and data collection in the first place. So, anyway, thanks for listening. I have all the links in the description of, the articles I pulled this stuff from. So if you want to check it out and, fact check me too, please do. If you don't agree with my positions, let's keep the discourse civil. And help me maybe come up with a title for whatever to call this cast. But right now for GOP Watch, I'm Parker. I just want to hit this a few more times. Feels good. Rah!